Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me in this TradeStation Masterclass. A moment ago, I was just talking to myself. I had started the class and I hadn't opened up the curtains. So I appreciate you holding on with me. We did a shift on time. Masterclass was usually at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesdays. Now we're doing it at 10 a.m. Eastern Time Tuesdays. So hopefully everyone is comfortable with the shift in time. And if not, we apologize for the inconvenience. Every session is recorded, though. So you do have an opportunity to watch the recording if you're not able to catch the session live. Let's go ahead and get started here. We are going to focus on one of the features of TradeStation that make it stand out across other trading platforms, which is the ability to backtest strategies against historical data and the ability for you to customize that strategy and customize other components that allow you to develop a strategy until you're comfortable and confident of trading that strategy going forward. The title of the presentation is Rank, Filter, and Manage Positions when Backtesting on Portfolio Maestro. So we are going to take a look at that tool. It's a more advanced tool than just regular backtesting. With Portfolio Maestro, you're able to backtest portfolio of symbols. Usually on the regular backtesting tool on TradeStation allows you to backtest only one symbol at a time, but this Portfolio Maestro, you're able to plug in a whole list of symbols and it'll spit out performance reports on all the symbols when you trade them together. So it's a pretty cool functionality. Before we get started, the usual disclosures is keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations of TradeStation. Also, active trading is not suitable for everyone. And since the topic is about backtesting, just keep in mind that historical performance is no guarantee of future results. If you need additional information on these risks and disclosures, just go to tradestation.com/important-information and you'll find all the details there. Okay, let's go ahead and switch over to my TradeStation platform. This is the TradeStation desktop. If you've been with TradeStation some time, you know that we provide the different platforms on which you can trade. This is the one that's most advanced, the one that has all the bells and whistles. We have the web trading platform, which is browser-based, which is a simplified version of TradeStation, and you also have the ability to trade your account on your mobile device. But this is the desktop, so hopefully you're using the right platform because that's where you find Portfolio Maestro. It's not on the other two. So Portfolio Maestro is going to be in the applications supplied with the TradeStation platform. And I see it right here. It's one of the buttons, Portfolio Maestro. And when you open it or when you launch it, it'll open up as a separate application right here on my screen. So we're going to go through some of the features that you're able to use right here with us. As I said before, and let me just walk you through how to set up Portfolio Maestro so that you can start using it. As I said at the very beginning, this is a tool that allows you to take a collection of symbols and then apply a strategy on it and then backtest those strategy rules to see how they perform. So we're going to start from the beginning and then look at another example of a strategy that I have here in my Portfolio Maestro. But the way that you get started when using Portfolio Maestro is thinking about what strategy and what symbols you want to add to your portfolio. So I'm going to click on New up here, which allows me to click or create what's called a new strategy group, because you have to start with the strategy and the symbols before you can go to the portfolio and create a portfolio backtest. So first step, strategy group. We can call this anything. Let me go ahead and do something really basic so that we can understand the functionality. This is just going to be for examples only. It's not going to be like a real strategy rule, but we just want to understand the mechanics of Portfolio Maestro. I'm gonna call this rank and filter. Okay, we're going to do this in equities. You can do different asset classes. I'm just going to focus on equities for the time being. I'm going to click OK. And notice that the strategy group, it's added right here at the bottom. It's called rank and filter. And it's ready for me to add strategies. I see the add strategy button up here. And then I'll add symbols on the next tab. But I'm just going to click on add strategy. And this is going to give me the strategies that are built into TradeStation. Let me see what happened here. There we go. I'm going to use something simple. There's a strategy in the list of strategies of TradeStation that's called custom strategy long entry. I'm using a custom long entry because it'll give you an opportunity to enter a very simple rule so that you can see how Portfolio Maestro follows a rule to the T. I'm going to click OK to this, and then it adds the strategy here to my screen. I'm going to open it up. Notice that there's a little plus to the left, and here you can see the condition. The condition is the close is greater than the open. That's the condition for the strategy to enter a trade. Whenever the close is greater than the open, then you get an entry based on whatever symbols you trade. Of course, this can be true or false on each bar. We're just looking for up bars, and then it's going to do a long trade whenever the bar closes higher than the open. I can change that right here. Well, not here because I have to go. Where do I change strategy group? There we go. We have to go to the strategy group button to be able to go to the strategy inputs. And that's where we change the conditions. So instead of saying close is greater than 0, I'm going to just do close greater than open. I'm going to do close greater than 0, which is a simpler entry rule. In fact, every condition is going to be true. So every symbol is going to be traded. And we're doing this just so that you can understand what Portfolio Maestro is doing with each one of the symbols, okay? So I'm going to assume that I want to trade all the symbols that I'm adding. I'm going to click OK to this. So that's my strategy rule, close greater than 0. And I'm going to go here to the symbol list. And in here, I'm going to click on Add Symbol. Notice that you have lists of symbols, so you can add the lists here. I'm going to go to the TradeStation symbol lists. Not the TradeStation symbol. Let me go here to TradeStation custom symbol lists. When you go to and highlight TradeStation custom symbol lists, you have the ability to create a new list if you wanted to. I have a list already created, and I'm going to use this list that has 10 symbols. You see the symbols right here: Disney, HD, Johnson & Johnson, Walmart. Twitter is not Twitter anymore. Let me just remove that. I can remove it here. Let's get in and click on. There we go. It went to the settings of the symbol. I'm going to delete, not Disney. I'm going to delete. I wanted to remove Twitter. So let me remove that. And I'm going to substitute it with something different. I'm going to maybe go up here, and I'm going to say NVIDIA. I'm going to add it. There we go. So it gets added right here to my list. So you can do all sorts of modifications to the symbol lists before you decide to trade them. So this is going to be a portfolio backtest on a list of 10 symbols. I'm going to click on close. There we go. So the change was applied, and I'm just going to click OK here. And that is going to add the sample 10 symbols to my strategy group. You can see the symbols right here. So now I've done two things. I've selected the strategy, which is a simple strategy, close greater than 0. I have a list of symbols, and I'm not going to be concerned about additional data series or money management or ranking, which we're going to get to in a little moment. These are all empty right now. For now, that's my strategy, and that's my list of symbols. Now, I'm going to create a portfolio backtest. And for that, I'm going to go here to the top where it says Manage Portfolios, and I'm going to create a new one. So this is no, not here. You go and click on New. Okay, so this is create a new portfolio, and this is going to be Rank and Filter Portfolio, so that I can have a name that's very similar to the strategy group so that I can align them better. So I'm going to click OK. And notice that now that I have a portfolio created, I have to add the strategy group. So I'm going to click on this plus and select the strategy group that I set up just a moment ago, the Rank and Filter. I'm going to click OK, and then it gets added to my screen. I'm going to go ahead and backtest this portfolio. You see the symbols, and you see the strategy here. The condition is close greater than 0. Everything is in place. You do have some additional things that you can format here. For example, if I go into portfolio settings, you have constraints and portfolio stops. I'm going to go to those in just a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this and click on this button on the right-hand side, top right. The button says Backtest Portfolio, and this is going to run a backtest on these 10 symbols. So the settings, I'm going to leave some of the settings as the default, but you can see that the last date is 9/8. So that's yesterday. One of the things that Portfolio Maestro does is that it backtests using closed bars or completed bars. Since today, the markets are open, but the day has not closed, it will not include today's trading activity. It's more of a back test tool. But this is going from yesterday's date, September 8th, 2 years back. And the back test is standard. I'm just going to leave everything the way it is. And I'm going to click on perform back test. So this is going to download data for those 10 symbols and generate the back test. I'm going to go here and click on view report now. There we go. So this report and these metrics that you see here in this report are based on all 10 symbols of my symbol list, based on my strategy rules. If I go over here to the trade analysis, you can see that the total return on the strategy is 67,475. This is assuming that when it went 2 years back, it established a position on each one of those 10 symbols. Let's go ahead and go to the trade list and see if that is the case. The trade list, these are all the trades that were generated in my back test. They're numbered 1 to 10, and take a look at the date. It started back in November 20th, 2023. Now, why didn't it start on September 8th of 2023? The reason for that is because strategies have something called, forgot the name, maximum bars back setting. Maximum bars back setting. That's what the setting is called. And what it does, it reserves a group of candles or a group of bars to perform calculations. So the reason why it didn't start on September 8th is because those first bars starting on September 8th, 2023 are reserved for calculation. But as soon as the 50th bar happens, then it starts trading. And that 50th bar is November 20th. That's why it happened a few months or a couple months later. But you can see that every single trade, 3, 4, 5, happened on exactly the same date. Why is that? Because my condition is very simple, close or greater than 0. If they're trading higher than $0, then I'm going to establish a trade. And as you can see, these are all long trades because that's the way the strategy was set up. And the quantity is set to 100 shares, each one of the stocks. Pretty interesting, right? Now let's talk about some of the things you can do to this, because if you notice, the way that it traded the symbols, it was just in the order that they appeared in the list. I'm not sure if you remember, but I added NVIDIA as the very last symbol on my sample list. And notice that's the last symbol that was traded. So whatever order your symbol list has, it'll take just one symbol at a time and trade it if the strategy is designed to do. This is a simple strategy, so it's going to trade every single symbol. Now, you could rank the symbols based on any particular metric. If I go back here to my portfolio and go to my strategy group, I'm going to go to the ranking tab first. Notice that the method is set to none, but I can click on this drop down and we have numerous metrics here that you can choose to rank the symbols in any different order. So if I wanted to say, for example, that I wanted to use percent change and then rank the symbols differently, I'm going to select the top ranked symbols first. So yes, calculate percent change, rank the symbols, and then rank them by their top value. So it's going to go in descending order. If you look over here on the right, you see it says rank values in descending order. And we're telling it, whichever symbol has the highest percent change, then trade that first. The filter limit is how many symbols you want to trade. I'm not limiting it. It says 75, so it's going to trade all 10. But the ranking interval refers to how often do you want to rank the symbols. I'm going to rank the symbols on a weekly basis, although it doesn't really matter here on this strategy because we have no exits. So it's still going to just enter those 10 trades and stop. I'm not sure if you've done any strategy backtesting, but it's not until you have an entry and an exit when the strategy is able to generate continuous trades going forward. But in this particular example, we created a strategy that is a long entry, has no exits. So it's going to do that precisely. It's going to enter the trades and leave them open until it finds to do something different, which we haven't added that. But here, the percent change is calculated weekly, meaning that each week it's going to calculate percent change, and the ranking happens every week. So you have a particular ranking, and the calculation is done in daily bars. So that's the percent change in daily bars. So that's some of the settings you can set. And if I go here to my portfolio, notice that I have my strategy, same way that it was before, but now I have something called ranking percent change. It adds a particular component to my strategy backtest. I still see the symbols, but I'm going to do the portfolio backtest one more time so that you can see what happens to my list of symbols. I view the report and take a look. Let me just space these columns out a little bit. All right, so still, again, the strategy starts on November 20th. That's for every single trade. But I want you to look at the symbols that were traded. Now, Intel is the first symbol that it trades because on November 20th, 2023, it did a ranking and it found that Intel was the symbol that had the highest percent change. You can see that NVIDIA is not last anymore. It is actually on the 5th position. So it does control the way that the symbols are going to be traded. And that is something that you probably want to do when you trade a portfolio of stocks. You want to trade or the ones that give you a particular characteristic. And that's important because very few of us have unlimited capital. We have a very defined amount of money that we can invest, and we have to use it the best we can. So if there's a metric that you can use to rank the symbols and give some symbols priority over others, that is something that you want to do and apply to your portfolio. In this case, yes, it ranks a symbol based on those metrics that you find there. Let's go here to my portfolio again. So that's ranking, and you can use all sorts of different rankings. Let me go and show you money management, because that's another component to strategy backtesting or portfolio backtesting. Because we have a defined amount of capital and we probably cannot trade every symbol that's in there because of capital limitations, now we have to tell it, okay, how do you want to distribute the capital? Now, if I go here to my symbol list, let me go to the report in just a moment. So let me go to the performance report and show you what this represents. Okay, so a 100 share position on Intel, which is trading at $43, it's not the same as 100 shares of Microsoft, which is trading at $371. So we're talking about a $4,000 investment for Intel compared to a $37,000 investment on Microsoft. So the risks that are in this portfolio are not balanced. So you are taking a bigger risk on some of the positions that have a higher price. Of course, you can manage that by going into your money management. Let me go here to my portfolio, my strategy group, and I'm going to click on the money management tab. And the method that I'm going to be using for my money management is fixed amount by price. I'm going to say trade a maximum of 5,000 shares. That's a maximum quantity. Actually, no, this is the dollar amount. So this is the fixed amount to use for purchase. So this is $5,000. I want you to trade $5,000 with a maximum of 5,000 shares and round it to the nearest one share. Those are the settings here. So don't invest more than $5,000 on each one of those positions. Now, if I go back to my portfolio, I have my ranking, which we talked about just a moment ago, and I have my money management. Now it's going to take a look at the price of the security and say, I'm going to invest this amount of money rather than a fixed number of shares. If I backtest the portfolio one more time, let's see. If I go to just to perform backtest, default settings, I'm not going to tweak anything. When I view the report, now I'll take a look. Nothing changes in terms of how many trades happen or when they happen. What changes now is the quantity. Take a look. Now for Intel, I have 114 shares. And for Microsoft, I only have 13. And now my risks are spread out in all my positions because I'm investing a particular amount. Of course, there are other risk factors based on how volatile these symbols are. But in terms of investment and capital that you're putting down on each one of these positions, it's pretty much spread out based on your money management. Understood? Now, let's go ahead and take a look at another one of these settings. I'm going to go to portfolio. So we talked about ranking and money management. I'm going to come here to manage portfolio and go to portfolio settings. There's two more things that you can do here. You can do a portfolio stop. This is an overall stop that you can set to all the trades or all the open positions in your portfolio. Now, let's see, this is a target. I'm going to set it to a portfolio stop loss. This is loss target expressed as a percent. That's true. This is a 2% loss in a period of 1 week. I'm going to change this to a 1 so that if it loses 2% in a period of 1 month, then it's going to stop my trades. Let's see if that kicks in. I'm going to set stop. It's down here. Notice that is down here. And I'm going to click OK. That portfolio stop gets added to my portfolio right here at the bottom. So you see, you keep on adding components. You keep on filtering and ranking your portfolio. That's why this class is called rank, filter, and I think there's another one, but it's totally fine. Then I'm going to do the back test portfolio one more time, perform the back test, and I'm going to view the report one more time. Okay. Now in the trade list, we see more. Why do we see more? Because now the strategy has a way of exiting. And how does it exit? With a 2% stop. So yes, the very first 10 trades are exactly the same. In fact, the 10th trade happens on November 20th, and that is for Cisco. That is the last trade. But on the 11th trade, this is, let's see what happens here. This is American Express at 4 p.m. What happened? This is what happened here. Let me just make sure that I understand what happened here. Okay, here's the signal name. The signal name is the portfolio stop long. So on August 2nd of the following year, 2024, there was a 2% stop. It actually kicked in and it closed my position for American Express. But not only it closed my position for American Express, if you notice, it closed every single position on August 2nd at 4 p.m. because of my portfolio stop. So over here until the trade at 20th, it actually closed every single position because of that portfolio stop. But then based on my entry, the next month, September 4th, then we enter the trade again because we have the strategy rule. The strategy entry is just waiting for an exit to be able to enter again. And that's why we have a strategy in here that is exiting my trades every time that there's a drop of or a stop loss of 2%. I'm going to assume that this is a losing. No, it's actually no. Total return $22,000. It's probably because of what's happening right now in the market. Let me go back here to my trade list. We are in a bullish market. Yeah, you have some open positions still. These were opened. Let's see. These long positions were opened back in May 2nd of 2025. You know, the last 10 trades, May 2nd. And up until now, it's showing us a profitable standing. So this P&L, the green numbers here are calculated from the time of entry of May 2nd until the close of yesterday. And notice that all the symbols are profitable, and that's why it's throwing a profitable result for the historical backtest. Here in the trade analysis, I'm able to show, so view hide, show all the symbols in my historical backtest, and there they are. Okay, so those are some of the things that you can use in Portfolio Maestro, and I just wanted to give you an overview of some of these advanced features. One more thing that I didn't show you is, let me go back here to my portfolio, go to portfolio settings one more time. We talked about a general overall portfolio stop, and we also have a constraint. So in this case, you can do a margin to equity. You can do like maximum number of open positions. I can limit that to 3, let's say, for example, apply constraint. And if I do that, the constraint is added right here at the bottom of my portfolio. It's only going to trade a maximum of 3 positions at a time. So if I backtest the portfolio and I go here to perform backtest and I view the report, now you can see that if I go to my trade list, everything is a little bit more limited. On November 20th, it was able to trade Intel, Microsoft, Disney, American Express, Disney. But you can see that on November 20th, it only traded 3 symbols. Then on May 2nd, it traded another 3 symbols. And on September 4th, it traded 3 more symbols. Does that make sense? So maximum number of open positions, 3. No, it's interesting. Oh, okay, because what happens is that I was going to say, what happened? Because if the maximum is 3 at a time, for a moment, I thought I had 9 different positions, but no, it actually traded the first 3, but it exited those 3 positions on April 25th, 2024. Why? Because it hit the stop. So you can see the signal right here. So once it was able to exit out of the 3 positions, it established 3 new positions on May 2nd that were stopped on August 5th. And then it entered 3 new positions on September 4th, 2024. And those are the ones that are still open right now. So 3 positions open, which are Walmart, Cisco, and Johnson. So this is a great tool for you to take a collection of symbols and trade a portfolio, backtest strategy rules against a historical portfolio. If I show you another example, here's a MACD strategy. If I go here to the strategies, you can see that I have just a regular MACD long entry. This is a built-in strategy. And the ATR trailing LX. So I'm combining an entry that's based on the MACD calculation, and the exit is an ATR trailing stop based on 3 ATRs. Very simple, very straightforward. My symbol list right here, the Dow Jones Industrial. Okay, here this INDU, we can modify it so it's not there, but let's just leave it there for a moment, okay? If I go here to the money management and ranking, I have nothing. Let me go ahead and backtest that portfolio for a moment. So you can see that it's just the strategy and the symbol list. If I backtest, I have a little bit more symbols, so it does take a little bit longer. And if it's the first time that it downloads data, it's going to take a little bit longer than the rest. I think I did a backtest this morning, so I already have historical data cached into my TradeStation, so it runs a little bit faster. If I view the report on this MACD strategy, this is what I get. Let me go to the summary, and doing this strategy from November of 2023, the strategy generates a gross profit of $45,000. Of course, this is all historical backtest. No indication that this is something that is going to continue happening if you turn on the strategy going forward. But you can see the number of trades. If you wanted to show what each symbol contributed to this performance, you have to go to the Trade Analysis tab, click on View Hide right here on the bottom right, select all the symbols, and then click OK. This gives you the performance of each one of the symbols separately, so that you can see which one contributed more to the overall $45,000 profit. Now, of course, this is trading all the symbols. Let me go ahead and hide. But if I start adding the same ranking and filtering that I've added to the first example, of course, this is going to change. For example, if I add money management and I say only, I'm going to do fixed fractional with ATR risk. This particular money management not only is based on price, but also takes into account ATR risk. So it's going to look at how volatile the symbol is and do a calculation that says percent of equity to risk. And we're risking 5%. So it does that formula, and it takes into account the volatility of the symbol, which we talked about. The prior one we used was just straight price. Dollar amount divided by the price, you trade this number of shares. Now, this looks at ATR, and we have a multiplier. Let's change that multiplier to 10. So it multiplies the ATR. It multiplies, the ATR times 10, figures out what the volatility has been historically, and then it does the calculations because you want to risk just 5% of your equity. If I go here to ranking, and I say, rank the symbols based on percent change. Select the top ranked symbols, but I'm not going to limit the number of symbols here. What I'm going to do is just rank them so that it trades the ones that have the greater percentage change and see what effect it has on my strategy. Let me go back here to my managed portfolio. My two money management and ranking are applied to my portfolio. I'm going to back test the portfolio by clicking on the button, view the report right now. Okay, and you can see that from a $40,000 gain, we went up to a $140,000 gain by applying these ranking and filtering capabilities. Again, this is a historical back test. No indication that this is going to happen going forward. Remember, this is looking back at historical data and finding where those entries would have been generated. Maybe we've been in a very bullish market in the past couple of years, and that helps the strategy back test. Those are things that we have to keep in mind. Also, this is not complete because if you notice here, we have a losing trade of $6,000 that probably needs to be managed better. We have no drawdown. Let's see, let me go here to my graphs, periodical returns. Okay, so the drawdown here, look at the equity drawdown. It was $50,000. That's pretty steep, and that needs to be managed. That means that at a certain point, you were losing $50,000 of your equity. So that's pretty massive. And that is something that in reality, we wouldn't tolerate. So a lot of things you have to keep in mind in order to be confident about the performance of a strategy. So make sure that you look at other metrics to see where the strategy may be failing, okay? So that's my class for today. I wanted to introduce Portfolio Maestro to you guys. If this is a tool that you'd want to use, please look it up right there in Portfolio in the apps menu of TradeStation. It's called Portfolio Maestro. We have a very in-depth help inside of Portfolio Maestro. So if you have any questions, just go Portfolio Maestro help. And over here, you have all sorts of documentation about definitions, feature summary. A lot of times, if you want to learn about portfolio and the reports, you can do that right here in the help. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. It was great having you. Again, this class is going to be recorded and posted, I think tomorrow or a couple days, depending on how quickly we can get it approved and run through compliance. But I want to say thank you for joining me today. Remember that we have the masterclass coming up. I didn't talk about it right now, but if you haven't heard, we have an in-person masterclass. Maybe you do know. Maybe you received my email invitation, but let me show you where that is. I'm going to share that with everyone here in class before you guys disconnect. All right, let me just share this link. This is the in-person TradeStation Masterclass. You can click on that link. It'll take you to this landing page where it talks about what we're doing. This is going to be in Chicago, by the way, Chicago, Illinois, September 24th. It's pretty fast approaching. So we have a great lineup of speakers, industry experts and trading professionals that are going to talk about derivatives, futures options, and equity options. So make sure that you take a look. And if you have an opportunity, please register. I'm going to share with you a coupon code. So if you use options 100 during the registration, you get a $100 discount towards your ticket. And also there's a promo inside here that you are also getting commission rebates, and you are going to get the cost of the ticket rebated to your account completely. So that's something, an added value of joining the masterclass. Okay, so thank you guys for joining me today. Please click on the link and save it and review if you can join us in the Chicago masterclass. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you there and in one of my future classes. Have a great day. Bye-bye.